This will be my video on Bastards of the Party. Bastards of the Party is a documentary that beautifully illustrates the history of the Crips and Bloods, their connection to the Black Panther Party, and how the LAPD, the media, and local and federal government were at the center of a war that started in 1969 and ended in 2003. This documentary is in my top 5 as far as documentaries go. Clay has committed his life to changing the direction of gangs while still being a member of the Bloods. He's digging to figure out why the war between the Crips and the Bloods started. The film speaks on how racism, hate crimes, and police brutality set the stage for black gangs to erect. At this time, these gangs were created as an act of rebellion. Later, we see the FBI via COINTELPRO as the reason why revolutionary black organizations in the 60s and 70s started fighting each other. This becomes a theme throughout this time period in which factions of local and national government would derail the efforts of black revolution. Again, J. Edgar Hoover and COINTELPRO made it their sole purpose to be Satan towards black Americans. One of their main missions was to prevent the rise of a black messiah who would unite black people and challenge racism in America. These revolutionary groups had black messiahs within them: Malcolm X, MLK, Huey P. Newton, the list goes on. We see the building of the first black gangs in Los Angeles during the 1950s because black kids were being attacked at random by white gangs, simply because black people were not allowed in certain areas in Los Angeles.
And you can track literally week by week attacks on black kids in the high schools and in junior high schools. And what you see emerging are black youth fighting back against attacks by white gangs.
The main culprit was a gang called the Spook Hunters.
Spook Hunters was an umbrella term. That was a term like, you know, black people are spooks or whatever, and we're white boys and we're gonna catch them.
So giving black people hell was the bread and butter of this group. Black gangs like the Slawsons, the Gladiators, and the Businessmen retaliated and started to turn the tide.
Yeah, they had a gang called the Spook Hunters. Yeah. We shut them down.
And then white flight happened, and resources left with them. And let me also say, this is literally the only first 20 minutes of the film. I did not spoil nothing. I don't want to spoil the Black Panther connection to the LA gangs. When you find out what caused the war between the Bloods and the Crips, you will be shocked. Especially since watching this documentary, you're given so much historical and practical context behind these groups. As a kid growing up in the 90s, the media portrayed the Bloods and the Crips as these inherently violent groups of black men without giving you the ingredients that created them. And let me tell you something, it is sad when you hear Clay and others talk about committing their lives to gang activity. I'm 100% sure if these black men were taught knowledge of self, they would have been able to unlock their genius. Now, generally speaking here, these were men who ruined their own lives and the lives of others because they were unaware of their personal power, unaware of their ancestors, and unaware of the bigger picture and the people who were pulling the strings behind the scenes. They were trapped in a death style, dying for respect because they felt like they had nothing to live for.
I remember one funeral we went to. I can't remember who it was, but it was the Bloods and Crips, Compton Crips.
Right.
The Bloods said at this funeral, they all dressed in black tuxedos, I never will forget it. And they said, told their parents, the reason why we're dressing in black tuxedos is after this funeral, we going killing. And y'all won't have to buy no tuxes to bury us in these we got.
This is such a coincidence because this reminds me of Malcolm X speaking on the lost potential of number runner West Indian Archie. Archie was sort of Rain Man in the way that he could memorize long sequences of numbers.
Cats that hung together trying to find a little security to find an answer found nothing. Cats that might have probed space or cured cancer. I mean, West Indian Archie might have been a mathematical genius. We were all victims of the American social order.
And again, this documentary is in my top 3. Like Who Killed Malcolm X, you have to be in a certain mode to watch it because it will make you sad. It will make you angry. This documentary is packed with daunting facts, interviews, and footage. It's overwhelming. This film puts in perspective the American tragedy that was the war between the Bloods and the Crips. To be honest, the history of black gangs in LA could be a whole TV series, starting from the 1960s. There's a YouTube channel that has the whole movie on it. I'm going to place the link in the description. And as always, if you like my videos and would like to help me make more videos, pledge $1, whatever you feel, to my Patreon page. This keeps me out of the Hunger Games and in front of your face. We have more movie reviews, more story reviews, and more random stuff coming your way.